Hello and welcome back to the BlizzCon stage here in the Anaheim Convention Center. This is the HGC Finals here for 2017, and we have got an incredible audience of fans here at Anaheim. Thank you so much for joining us online and of course for being here in person. And you know what, guys? Can you guys do me a favor? I want the online audience to know what they're missing. Let's give them a quick shout out on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you for watching online. Maybe next year you can join us for this incredible experience. It is nothing like this being with you guys, enjoying these games. And let me give you a quick rundown of what we've seen to date. MVP Black took a 2-0 victory over Team Freedom. We followed that up with another 2-0. Team Expert taking out Team Dignitas in the upset of the day. Then we just finished Fnatic with a 2-1 victory over Tempo Storm. One matchup remains. This one is an amazing one. The reigning BlizzCon champions from Korea, Ballistix, take on Roll20 Esports from North America. It's gonna be a good one. Kylaris, over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Indeed, a lot of emotion riding on this one here as Roll20 will go up against Ballistix. Both teams of which have shown in the past couple of weeks, months, what have you, a lot of emotion, be it someone like Glarung, be it someone like Hooligan in the Eastern Clash. It's going to be good for sure. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the panel. I am here with Wolf, Jayhow, and Grubby. And so far today, guys, what we've seen, Jayhow, you're joining us at the desk. Did you expect Fnatic and Tempo Storm to go how it went?
Nope. I don't think anybody did. I think everybody's just kind of like, Fnatic's going to roll through there. Even myself, I talked to a lot of people last night, a lot of fans around asking me, how do you think these are going to match up? I was like, I don't think Tempo stands a chance. I think Fnatic is too good. But Fnatic looked like it had flaws, but at the same time, Tempo, that game one, looked really good. Just weren't able to close it out.
Let's take a look at the bracket to get everyone updated with what has happened so far, as well as where we are right now. As you can see, the results that our lovely Kevin Johnson just rattled off on the stage are as follows, with that moving in through to the round of 4 now. MVP Black, Team Expert, and Fnatic await the next team to join them between Ballistix and Roll20 Esports. And Grubby, Ballistix, they were here last year. They know the taste of glory. They know the taste of that gold at the very end.
And they're eager for it again. They may not have won, well, they can't win Western Clash because they weren't there, but they may not have won mid-season Brawl, but they won that BlizzCon. And they shaped a large part of what we know about the meta now. The way they play Dragonshire, the way they play Sky Temple. They are an experienced team, and I mean, they're going for it here. Like, their ambition is #1.
Yeah, I think there's a subtext though to the defeat that we just saw of Tempo Storm. I think there's a lesson to be learned is using strategies and using play styles, and people call them cheeses, right? But I wouldn't go as far as to call the strategies cheese that we saw from these two North American teams. Using strategies, using styles you've used before repeatedly, you've already shown your hand. I think that Roll20 is going to have to show us something more than running it down top with a boss, you know, on Warhead Junction, for example. I think we're going to have to see larger depth of play.
Well, first of all, we're probably going to see a Warhead Junction ban, I would say. Right? You get to a tournament, and do you really want to try and disentangle that or just avoid it entirely? And then the second thing is, of course, Roll20 is the #1 seeded team of North America. They have been rapidly improving. And here they are, the last bastion of hope for North America, as Tempo and Team Freedom have fallen down.
Yeah.
If anyone, I mean, Roll20 is the only one that can do it, but they are very strong.
Yep. Well, time now to look at our next match coming up here as Roll20 looks to pull into their bag of tricks against a Ballistix who understands the threat of North America more than ever.
This is my first BlizzCon I've ever been to, not even as an attendee. So being able to play on the big stage for the first time just means everything to me. Being able to play here is going to be an opportunity for me to show what I'm capable of and what I've done for the last 9 months. Our first matchup is against Ballistix, and I think it's probably the best group draw we could have had. I think they're probably the strongest team on our side of the bracket. So if we get to face them in a best of 3, I think that probably favors us because we have some unorthodox strategies that we can pull out against them.
One thing that we've been able to do against 2 Korean teams historically already, first at mid-season Brawl we were able to surprise them with the strategy, and then here in the US versus Tempest we were also able to surprise them on Warhead Junction. I think we have a few more tricks up our sleeves, and if we play really well and we play at our best, I think we can win 2-0 with the element of surprise against Ballistix. I competed in my first BlizzCon in 2016 with Denial at the time was my team, and we had a pretty overall lackluster performance. We got 7th, 8th, and personally it was a really disappointing performance overall. Looking into BlizzCon 2017, I'm really excited to prove that North America is a good region once again, and sort of on a personal level I want to achieve greater than I had achieved last year, so I'm shooting for first.
이번 블리즈컨 8강 대진표가 제가 지금까지 해외 대회 다 다녀본 결과 지금이 제일 강한 8강 대진 같고, 그 이유는 유럽이랑 한국은 말할 것도 없이 4강 대진이었지만 이번에 북미가 좀 많이 잘해줘서 롤20가 많이 껄끄러워요. 그래서 일단 롤20가 좀 제가 지금까지 봐온 북미 팀들 중에 제일 잘하는 팀이라고 생각하고, 그래서 좀 많이 견제가 되는데 3판 2선만 아니면 좀 마음 편하게 할 텐데 3판 2선이라서 좀 힘들 것 같아요.
먼저 저희가 D조로 1등으로 올라가게 돼가지고 C조 2등인 롤20을 만나게 됐어요. 그래서 그 롤20을 만나게 됐는데 북미에 좀 친한 친구들이 많았었는데 이제 그중에서 한 친구를 이제 만나게 된 것 같아요. 라우롱이 이제 자기가 여러 가지 재밌는 것도 보여주고 저희가 템페스트 이긴다는 열정을 보여줘가지고 그 템페스트를 이기고 저희를 이제 만나게 된 것 같아요. 근데 롤20이 많이 세게 템페스트를 잘 잡았어요. 조합을 잘 짜고. 근데 롤20이 템페스트한테 많은 걸 보여주고 저희랑 이제 상대하는 거 되는 거라서 아마 저에게 3판 2선이지만 아무리 많이 준비해도 저희가 한 번만 막으면 아마 더 이상의 수는 없지 않을까 한번 생각해보고 있어요. 그래서 롤20이랑 블라우롱이 이제 같이 이제 슬프지만 저희가 아마 실력으로는 저희가 아직도 많이 앞서니까 아마 이기지 않을까 생각해보고 있어요.
Gentlemen, let's give a massive BlizzCon welcome to the #1 seed from North America. In the red corner, Roll20 esport! And in the blue corner, our reigning BlizzCon champions, hailing all the way from Korea, it is Ballistix! Captains, please, center stage. Good luck. May the best team win. Kylaris, over to you.
That says it all here as we go into this next one. Roll20 esports goes up against Ballistix, and overall, both of these teams mean business. They came out, they looked focused, Grubby. There's a lot of emotions, as we mentioned, between these two in terms of how they approach the game, how they get into the game. But this is going to be a big one for these two teams.
Very much so, Kalaris. And another big one is how they approach the group stage. Roll20 came from a very challenging group, and we could see that Ballistix is aware of that. The team to beat the Korean team here, Tempest, Roll20 has had to show much of what they had, but they may have some more tricks up their sleeve.
On a side note, I don't know, I could only hear it. I was hearing Wolf's thoughts. He was just chanting, Korea, Korea.
How did you read my mind? I was actually about to interrupt Polaris and come back and do that.
He's bulimic.
I mean, this is going to be a great series. I think that when you look at how Tempest plays the game, the strategies we saw from Roll20, that is a strength of Roll20 versus a weakness of Tempest.
Right.
Ballistix, though, plays the game safe. They play a punish-heavy style. They've always been famous for that, defending BlizzCon champions. So I think this is going to be a tough series, and it's just a best-of-3 for Roll20.
Don't forget the HGC universe out there. You can continue to cheer for your favorite teams here on the BlizzCon stage. We are currently at the 27,400,000 mark here as we continue down the line. So thank you very much for all your cheers. Keep those coming in. Are you going to cheer for Ballistix, or are you going to cheer for Roll20? That's the big question here in this next best-of-3 series. We saw, during Oracle Episode 5, we saw that Glaurung, after that win going up against Tempest, was full of just emotions. Extremely hit him hard in terms of the victory that he got over Korea. Going up against another Korean team, arguably a much tougher one, it's a tall order.
Yeah, I know exactly how that feels. It's just this, you've been working for it so hard, you've been daring to hope so much, but then you finally get to that stage.
Yeah.
And he mentioned he was top 8 last year, Glaurung, but it's even more competitive now, the scene. So to actually make it past such a challenging group, and to do it with a team of fellows that like each other, so much, that like to play with each other so much in Heroes of the Storm, that must be a very powerful emotion.
Let's find out which battleground we're going to be going to for this best-of-3 to start things off. Our final best-of-3 of the day. Roll20 will take us to Battlefield of Eternity, and I see J-Howe nodding his head.
Yeah, there's the ban on Warhead.
The ban on Warhead, but Battlefield of Eternity says that Roll20 knows exactly what they want to do. And what they want to do is be able to have the opportunity to team fight against the team like Ballistix that likes to play the macro control. I talked about this a little bit last week, but Roll20 uses this battleground so much. Depending on where the Immortals will spawn, they will hard reset, basically a soft reset in a sense, to where they will rotate down to that Immortal, reassess the situation, and see what they can do.
All right, it's time getting into the draft now. Roll20 against Ballistix. BlizzCon, get pumped as we get into draft number 1.
I'm really excited to see how this draft pans out. One of the heroes that we've seen on this map, specifically in Korea, is Li Ming. We know how well Prismaticus can play the hero, SDE as well. Many consider him to be a rookie player. That's not true. He has a long, storied career in Korea. He's been playing since 2015, and now he's here on the biggest stage. We'll see how much they want to prioritize this hero going into the draft, whichever team ends up having to take the poke-like composition. But interesting to see these two Li Ming players finally clashing against each other on this international stage.
This instantly reminds me of Ballistix just several months ago when they have that priority on the Tyrael and we see them execute things. I remember there was this play that SC made on a Genji. Back then it was just like, wow, like the way this team coordinated, the way that he was able to pull it off. We see the ultimate coordination, but two heroes that definitely kind of anti-dive is the Brightwing and the ETC.
Whoa. All right. Slow down, Ballistix. Tyrael, Karazim, they give movement speed, they give buffs. Abathur gives buffs. It's all pointing towards a very hyper carry comp by Ballistix. It's either going to be Genji or a melee assassin, probably.
Yeah, I think that Greymane is obviously a strong possibility here as well.
This is going very fast.
Very quick indeed. So let's see if they want to go down the Greymane route. That's been the go-to in terms of range DPS. That's standard for Ballistix in the past. When you have a composition like this, you have the extra attack speed. Abathur slows rotational play as well, so you can have this strong hyper carry that isn't out-rotated because you have the mines to stop those rotations. I don't think we're going to see something like an Illidan here. Not this early in the tournament. Ballistix would not dare to pull something like that out against Roll20.
Greymane is the one that makes the most sense. He's solid, he's versatile, he's what a confident team would pick against the underdog.
Yeah.
He synergizes with Tyrael, and what's more, Arthas was banned away, and Arthas counters that well.
The one thing that surprises me is, you actually mentioned this already, Li Ming having the high priority on the side of Roll20. They end up going to gold. Damn, so on the opposite side, we see Ballistix, and I believe that should...
Here we go, guys!
Let's pass this draft, by the way.
Well, there's a lot of things to talk about here. We've got Samar, okay, first appearance in the tournament. Very strong, actually, in the top lane, can do a lot of annoying split pushing, can do a lot of harassment. Very annoying to deal with. But I don't know how this team is going to play this hero. Again, these North American teams bringing out the strats.
Does anyone have mid-season brawl feelings?
Yeah, I mean, Samuro you know, everyone says he doesn't work at high level. He's a pub stomper. That means he's good in like random games, on the ladder, in the ranked games, uncoordinated. But mid-season brawl, we saw a few Samuros and a few more Samuro bans. Battlefield of Eternity, always been his best map.
Yep.
And it's so cool, you know, a good Samuro player will pretty much not die. Using Illusion Master at level 10, you can port your real hero to a copy at any time with a 6-second cooldown. So whenever you get caught, if you've got one image gone to safety, you're safe. And then, if you use all three together on an Immortal, you deal so much damage. So it's really good for trading, and you get to get away safely. Very cool pick here.
I think one of the weird things about that, you talked about being able to get away, but if we see Taunt come out from Varian, it's easy to identify when you're a pro player, right? It's easy to identify who the real one is, unless we get Twin Blades.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to see Twin Blades. This is not typical Korea, what we're seeing from this comp. I think this is trying to design to win a longer, slower fight in terms of the Immortal. It's such an objective-based comp. The Leeming is just going to be there for the poke. We might even see Astral Presence here. You play defensive, you use that parry from the Varian to defend and poke.
Well, we are ready to head into game number 1. It's the final best of 3 of the day. Let's head over to the commentary team, see if Samuro can do the business.
NA's last hope and NA's best hope has come to play. But while Roll20 struggled heavily in groups, Ballistix, our previous BlizzCon champions, passed with flying colors. There's so much to break down from that draft.
Like the pacing alone,
yes.
The message being sent by both teams,
yes.
just we know what we're going to be able to pick. We know what we're going to bring to the table here. But the Samuro out of Roll20, it's going to be in the hands of Goku, and that makes me very, very happy that we see him flexing it out. He has made a name for himself in the North American scene, climbing here to the roster of Roll20, and then to get at his first international stage, they trust him on such a niche pick. Says a lot about the squad right now.
Well, we are ready. BlizzCon, I hope you are too, for the most anticipated match of the quarterfinals. Roll20 versus Ballistix.
In the blue, your defending BlizzCon champions. It is Ballistix. We have SC on his Leeming. Hooligan repping the front line, playing the Tyrael. Jung Ha will be on Varian. SDE playing the Abathur. And last is Swoy on Karazim. Let's hear it for Ballistix!
And a team of players in the red, so good at the game, you might say they're naturals. We've got Buds playing Stukov Glaurung on Brightwing, Prismaticism playing Gul'dan, Goku playing Samuro, and Justy playing ETC. Let's hear it for Roll20 Esports! So let's start with Stukov versus Tyrael.
One of my favorite interactions. Stukov has been a response within Korea for some time to deal with Tyrael's sanctification, to just create the zone. Whenever he drops the Eldruins, you know he either has a sanct on his body or he's gonna follow up on the Eldruins. If you get that lurking arm, it is such a big breakup in the initiation that Tyrael needs to be a successful hero. And it is just amazing to me that Roll20 has the confidence to bring that playstyle to the area, to the region that actually created it.
Especially on this very map, because this map has been a problem for Ballistix when Hooligan plays Tyrael versus a Stukov. He's wanted to do things like aggressively invade the siege camp or the bruiser camp, and not being able to get the shaman because he jumps over and then having the silence underneath has killed him so many times. And that may just be enough to stave off the aggression that Ballistix would like to bring with this comp.
And you know, we had the analyst desk, they were dabbling a bit with the Varian taunt, with the 7s. Wait a minute, oh, nice power slide away, no CC there. We were dabbling with all the heroic options, but I wouldn't even put it past the realm of possibility of even a Colossus smash here.
Yeah, especially because that is Jungha playing Varian, right? It is the melee assassin player in general. It doesn't guarantee it. Maybe they want to have the taunt lockdown for whatever happens here. Maybe if Justin goes and face checks another bush as ETC, you wouldn't be able to power slide away from the taunt.
And the only reason I kind of talk about that is because we see Korea, especially Ballistix, so very good with Hooligan there onto the Tyrael, following up with Karazim for a large amount of DPS to the single target, and a very good, you know, immediate burst follow-up is going to be that possibility of the Colossus smash. But we see Eldruins drop there for Justin. Glaurung is going to be just fine after dropping a polymorph. Keep in mind, Buds have used his passive there, so very little healing for Roll20.
Yeah, Prismaticism getting low. First blood of the series is drawn by Ballistix, but the whole time it's been Samuro on the Immortal. So Roll20 needs needs to make the best of this, but losing 2 here is pretty rough.
Yeah, that's a very tough situation for them to find themselves in. Samuro is one of the highest single target DPS when it comes to that Immortal race, but Ballistix, they've got 4 members after splitting the members of Roll20, and now they're going to be very aggressive with this positioning as the halftime show concludes.
So where do the members of both teams go? They're just going to trade out on damage. This will favor Ballistix because of the lead they got on the Immortals. But at this point, Roll20 are just trying to clean up the mess that was created from those 2 kills earlier on, get the Immortal health as low as they can so the shielding isn't too dire.
And already we find the fact that there is an Abathur composition on Battlefield of Eternity and a Immortal being won here by Ballistix. This is a very grim start to game number 1 for Roll20.
Immortal will be pushing in the bottom lane. Brightwing to make sure that they are getting that counter siege in the top lane so that Roll20 don't fall too far behind. And it's all about getting the shielding down of this Immortal so it'll move into melee range. Then Goku can do a lot more damage with the mirror images, with the melee heroes that he is playing. Here, I say heroes because he's got 3 of them. They've got it now down with the shields, though.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to get this forward. A lot of damage coming out. Goku's going to go ahead and go into stealth. He gets Glorong with the teleport. Peekaboo revealing the members of Ballistix. Glorong eats a bit of damage with Jung Ha, showing the threat he can provide to that backline. And that was a little bit of what I was talking about here with that pick into the variant. Almost no matter what direction he goes, he will trade very well into the backline. And I feel like that was a brilliant adjustment into the double support, the Stukov and the Brightwing. It's a response to the Tyrael, but neither one of them can handle their own against a variant.
Yeah, we're starting to see, too, for Roll20 how they may be trying to set up future fights. We talked a lot about Brightwing bombs and how you can set those up with a Genji swift striking in and then having Brightwing set down in the perfect place for an Emerald Wind. But if you have a Wind Walk there from Samuro being able to sneak into the perfect position to split apart the team, maybe that's some way that they can push back a Varian, a Tyrael, someone else, and then push forward somebody that they could kill like the Karzian.
And as we saw the first Immortal phase kind of play out, as Ballistix was sieging up, we find a situation where the Abathur is getting the side soak, Glorong on the side, you know, he's doing Brightwing things, not dropping the teleport too early. But when 10 hits, because of the Samuro play, assuming that we see them go into illusions, this will create split pressure that the Abathur actually has to deal with. Brightwing does not pressure the lane effectively enough, but if Goku is clever enough with those transitions, I would expect them to at least create a problem for the Abathur to have to be able to deal with.
And they need to, because Ballistix is such a dominant force in lanes, right? We talked about Fnatic in the last series and how good they are at being able to put the pressure on in every single place and then set up options for themselves. Ballistix is the best team at that in Korea, right? They lost to MVP Black, but even MVP Black, a team who doesn't really respect anybody else in the region when it comes to macro play, plays completely different versus Ballistix because of how good Ballistix are at objective-based play.
Well, for Roll20, the very opener here, and the intent over the first Immortal phase did not go to plan. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Spawning is very offensive for both sides. Goku's going to go ahead and drop down some of those clones here, but again, there is no heroic. And Glorong on the side, he's worried about that Shaman camp. He's going to be focusing on that.
Camp in the bottom lane too. Nobody there to deal, and that fort is low, so eventually someone will need to go and deal with that. Maybe Glorong who goes down there, but that will show that Roll20 are focused on making sure that they don't lose out to that camp, and it'll take Glorong a little while to clear that up. This may be a place for Ballistix to jump on top of some of the members of Roll20.
Gonna find Prismat, Hooligan, follow up on the Druins. The damage is not gonna be enough to get a kill though. Swoit goes in, tries to drop the punches, but Hooligan gets turned on. He Druins and he survives!
He's just fine, just barely, but Prismaticism also got low and had to go back. Justing now seems to be the target as Ballistix are chasing him down, but he power slides out and is safe for now. Roll20 are ready to get back into it. Prismaticism turned around and in the face of so much danger, just drained life until the team could come into his aid.
Samuro still soaking on those side lanes again without heroics available. Wait a minute though, Justin goes in. Buzz actually gets the heal coming out from Glorong. He peels back, but it doesn't matter. Ballistix again, just showing why they are so scary with these Tyrael compositions.
Yeah, this time Hooligan was plenty healthy to go in and ensure that Stukov dropped. And that is amount of time where Roll20 does not have everybody out on the battlefield. Ballistix continuing to be aggressive here, now puts damage on Justin, but has Hooligan gone too far?
Power slide away for Justings. It looks like that they are going to be just fine for now. halftime show is led here by the members of Roll20, but as Ballistix here backs right on out, you know that they're going to be trying to get this for themselves. Either way, the biggest thing to highlight here is we kind of actually have a very awkward situation. Ballistix composition is better by far post-10. Their composition really seems to come online when the Avatar can get their heroics. But it feels like so does Roll20's with that side soak here. So neither team is necessarily comfortable forcing, but they kind of like, well, if you're not going to force it, am I going to force it? And it leads to these very long, stalled out things. I expect when heroics come online, though, Ballistix, they're going to be very, very aggressive over Roll20.
Yeah, it's a giant game of chicken we're seeing played here, but comes in with the phase shift from Glaurung. Now Testing goes with the power slide. We've got the silence underneath. Norazim falls. The first kill for Roll20, and they're not done yet.
Yeah, looking for a bit more. The body block's coming out from Goku. They're on to Jungha. He's able to deal with those clones, and now Roll20's looking to get damage here onto their Immortal. Power slide goes in. Not back. Varian, he's parrying, and he's going to be just fine. Hooligan dives in and is the self-sacrificing angel. He goes down. Jungha quick to follow, and Roll20 is fighting.
Roll20 has pulled the trigger, and they get heroic abilities. We've got a lot of separation potential between Horrify, the Emerald Wind, and the Flailing Swipe. Still waiting to see what ETC picks. We've got Illusion Master for Goku.
If the Immortal with half shields were not enough to demoralize the members of Ballistix, you know that crowd very much is cheering here for Roll20, the last hope for North America at BlizzCon HGC Finals.
Here it is, the push for Roll20. They have everyone but Glaurung here. If the setup is good, though, Glaurung could phase shift into the middle of Ballistix, split them apart. All heroic abilities available for both sides. See the taunt go down on Justin.
Goku's going to pop a couple of clones. The fort immediately is going to drop after.
This is still healthy.
Yeah, they're not getting too aggressive here. Glaurung is still onto the side lane, not even going to go ahead and teleport in. Now that 10 is here, he doesn't necessarily need to be that split pusher for the members of Roll20.
They can head straight down now and start to apply pressure potentially on that bottom fort. Looks like that is the call since that Immortal was so healthy and they didn't want to lose out on the keep towers.
How much of this is Ballistix really going to let up, though? All of them transferring down to this bottom lane, wanting to deal with it. We know we have the heroics, but it doesn't look like they're going to get too aggro quite yet. Keep in mind, if this fight happens over this bottom camp that it looks like Roll20 is baiting into, they have far better territorial spells than any of the members of Ballistix. Yes, Ballistix does have Sanctification, and in perfect situation will win these fights, but Flailing Swipe, Emerald Wind, Horrify, and Mosh Pit are all some of the best spells in the world. So Ballistix needs to try and pick fights into lanes rather than these tight chokeholds here over these mercenaries.
Those are such good heroic abilities for Roll20, but it also is a potential disaster for the anti-synergy, and it's not something compositional-wise that we've really seen from Roll20 before, but Roll20, we know them from having the synergy, the legendary synergy of North America. They lost one game in all of North American HGC for Part 2. Oh.
Justin.
Quiet. Justin.
Great knockback timing there and a bit of damage response. Everyone, you can see holding their breath for a moment, laughter immediately, realizing Justin is going to survive. But for now, it just seems like these teams are going to be waiting for the next Immortal. Neither one of them has a big enough, siege capabilities to really do anything. They both have built compositions to bring the battle. And so far here, the members of Ballistix are going to have to find a way to clump up because that last team fight, Roll20 opened up pretty quickly for themselves.
Yeah, it was a good fight for Roll20, and they need more of those good fights. Ballistix continuing with their tradition of liking to invade at the Bruiser camp. Whether they can force the team to take it early so it's not a good timing with the objective, or maybe even steal it away, but a lot more respect for the Stukov, for the silence, not diving over the wall with the Eldruin Might of Tyrael.
Now that 13 is here, we see Glaurung again trying to going into the lack of an ice block. So this is something that I am expecting Ballistix to heavily punish. Over and over again, a Western versus Eastern teams. It seems like the Western teams will always take the damage reduction, not going into self-survivability, but I do fear that this hard initiation synergy that Ballistix always displays with Hooligan on the Tyrael might be too much for Glaurung to deal with, but in the top lane, the taunt is the thing that's going to send Goku right on back, and now Ballistix, they're looking towards these Immortals.
Yeah, they have a perfect setup for the beginning of this Immortal phase, having 13 neck and neck with Roll20, but having the numbers advantage. Now Justin has been found, a taunt hits, but he power slides back to safety.
Members of Roll20 are moving forward, aggressive as if they have an advantage here, trying to rely on the fact that they have such dominant crowd control AoE spells. if the initiation happens from Ballistix, but they're yet to try and pull the trigger. Justin pulls up a little bit too far, but he's going to power slide right on out. Ballistix back out, kick off halftime, Camp pressuring up on top. Things are looking very good here for Ballistix.
Man, cloning a Li Ming just offers so much burst follow-up for the Tansa variant. It's why we saw Samuro just go down so incredibly quickly. Something that Roll20 has to keep an eye on. It only gets scarier once a Holy Ground can go behind the target too. Roll20 aren't out, they haven't lost this Immortal phase, but they are behind, so it's up to them to make the right plays to be able to get into this Immortal phase still.
Jungha goes in, drops a taunt on to Justin, power slide response back.
Don't see the Emerald win just yet from Glaurung, even though he was kind of in the position, but they are setting up even more. The knockback does stall out Roll20 from getting extremely aggressive on Ballistix there, but they at least have pushed back the Korean powerhouse for the moment.
Yeah, the members of Roll20 just don't have enough ranged poke with their double support Gul'dan composition here to really thwart the members of Ballistix back and away from their Immortal. So now Ballistix, they go ahead, they're going to tap, they're going to look to get this re-initiation. I do want to bring to light that if somehow this Immortal phase goes past 16, or the Immortal phase past 16, I expect Ballistix to use this Holy Ground initiation far better than what we've seen up until this point. They don't have the initiation. You see Jungha really drastically, panically trying to force that taunt, and that is not going to be the case with 16. So Roll20, the time is now if they're going to be successful in these skirmishes, because eventually they will be split up in just one shot.
Goku's getting in there, but it was just the clone, so he's fine. And even though, yes, they've mentioned that, there's the taunt, it's up to Buds to make sure that he is watching for Tyrael always once he does go in with the Holy Grounds. With the flailing swipe too, pushing him away. Roll20 is going to step forward onto this Immortal, start to put the damage in with the Samuro.
Gul'dan's throwing out the Fel Flame as well. Swoy and SC over the wall. You see them waiting, they all in. They're going under Justin, and he is deleted immediately. That synergy displayed by Ballistix over and over again with this Tyrael. Right now, Roll20 doesn't have a tool to deal with it.
Now all they can do is lick their wounds as they phase shift back in, but Jungha is not done with this fight yet.
Horrify?
Forcing the Horrify just to get out, and Roll20 use so many heroic abilities and still lose the Immortal phase.
That's without 16. Things are going to be difficult in the future here for the members of Roll20. But thankfully, this Immortal, you know, it's not that healthy. Its shielding is rather low, and the members of Ballistix don't necessarily have the best siege. When they initiate, they have to initiate as a unit. But I had to bring to light the fact that we are yet to see a skirmish where Sanctification has even been dropped. We're yet to really see what Ballistix is known for with this Tyrael play against Roll20.
Yeah, all they're doing is assassinating one person before anyone can even react. They're going in again. Brightwing is forced up to the top lane. So now it's time for Roll20. Mosh pit immediately interrupted and didn't catch anyone. They had the force of will still even just to take that out. 16 is all but here for Ballistix, and they're trying to keep Roll20 in the fight so that they can take them out.
Goes down. 16 is achieved for the members of Ballistix. Now Taunt goes in onto Goku. He's trying to use the Illusion Master. Looks like he is going to make it out. A lot of damage here going on to the Immortal, but Ballistix, a man up, no frontliner for the members of Roll20. I was gonna say they're gonna get aggressive with this talent here, but it seems like that is too much for them to handle. They don't want to take the risk. Back out, play it safe. Understandably so, as they have really remained in control, the driver's seat of this game for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, the Immortal was starting to get fairly low in health, and it would force them to push forward onto the keep versus a lot of those heroic abilities that we mentioned that can be very scary to siege into. Things like Flailing Swipe, the Brightwing Bomb to Emerald win them in, and of course the Horrify and how horrifying it can be for a team. So instead, Ballistix heads straight out to get as many mercenary camps as they can. Keep Roll20 back toward the side of their base, not give them any advantages, any ways of being able to take some structures down, and giving more freedom to an Abathur to continue his safe push.
Whenever you're the Abathur and you get the map opened up to this kind of level, I mean, you really go from good to great. You know, you've been the slug, hiding, sending out the hats here and there, but that's your moment where, you know, you get to puff out the chest. You're like, I'm ready. I'm a real hero. I can get soak on my own. And, you know, it's just, I really like the fact that Ballistix at this point in time, it's very likely that they're going to take what is already a dominant team fight, dominant experience advantage, and only further it here because of, again, as you said, the lack of structures that Roll20 now has remaining.
And Ballistix, you can tell how good they feel with their composition just by the talents they pick. This time it's Glaurung. He lives for now. Emerald win gets him out. They live. Roll20 lives. Goku moves forward.
Goku, just a bit of a clone, you know, not too excited here. 23 seconds out, and we're going to have the next Immortal phase. We watched, we talked about it I'm just going to say the words holy ground and leave it at that. How is Roll20 going to deal with it?
Holy ground. There's another one. Justing as power slide, but there's nowhere to go,
Mosh!
nowhere to run. Mosh stops, canceled, immediate.
SC able to teleport out before Glaran gets the polymorph. Swoy drops back, gets the heal for him. Justing is able to make it out here, but brilliant synergy, teamwork again out of Ballistix. The members of Roll20, though, they might not be done yet. Gul'dan, you know, Prismaticism kind of rolling in with those dots here as the game is moving up and he's scaling upward.
The thing I am really worried about for Roll20, though, is that Ballistix continues to use these extremely low cooldown heroic abilities and gets so many things from it. You use a taunt and suddenly Horrify comes out. A taunt, Emerald Wind comes out. These are far longer cooldown timings for Roll20 that are being used just to stop Ballistix from taunting someone to death.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up here, and I wish I could say I have the answer, but the members of Roll20, it feels like they just gotta wait for those cooldowns and look for the initiation. Snapple fact here of this game, though, is that they're 65 seconds out from getting that mosh pit. Shaman Camp will be dropped, something that somebody's gonna have to deal with, but first we see Jongha move up for the taunt.
Yeah, the thing for Roll20 to consider here is when someone gets taunted, how many people are there with them? Have they dropped the clone? Is everyone in concert? But the problem with that is some of these things to stop the taunt that aren't being used as heroic abilities, those won't save you in time if everything is in conjunction from Ballistix. So Roll20 are basically playing with fire at this point.
Laurent got taunted out, chunked down below 50% HP, but it's a double support. They'll be fine on ticking those HP right back up.
Keep an eye on that Eldruin.
Constantly, you cannot ignore that thing. You legitimately just view it as, in any moment, if I step across this, expect to be split away from the rest of the members of Roll20. Goku did end up dropping back there to be able to deal with the Shaman Camp, and I'm expecting SC to, you know, use that Li Ming poke now, knowing that they have a man advantage on this Immortal.
Gosh, speaking of Li Ming, SC has pretty much been untouched in this game. He really has set himself up to be the carry of this team. Before the event, averaging 4.4 kills per game, the highest of any player in HGC, and he's been continuing that with 4 kills per game in the 4 games they played in the group stage. He is a monster.
Roll20 has been able to stall this out and for Mosh Pit to come online. All heroics are available for both teams. Whoever wins this next fight, I feel like, especially if Ballistix is successful, and it is very likely, it could be a minimum 1 keep, maybe 2 keep, or even a good old GG here. Roll20 just cannot overstep. Again, Hooligans, Holy Grounds are unrivaled. Clone's gonna be used.
Roll20 steps up, Goku comes from the side.
Jongha goes in with the taunt.
There is the Holy Ground. Goku's been taking some damage, but the silence was good for Hooligan. Justin's going
Horrify!
to go in. Hooligan is down!
Hooligan is able to, oh my gosh, the Horrify coming out from Prismaticism. They hold their own, but it's not over yet here. The Immortal is still a losing race for the members of Roll20. Taunt goes on to Justin. He's chunked very low. Power Slide to respond.
Power Slide's back in. The polymorph there too. Swoy in danger, has the palm and will cross. Swoy dashes out to the team, but Palm has been used. Roll20 has drawn blood.
Samuro's backing out here, using the clones with Prismaticism. They're going to get a lot of damage here onto that Immortal. The members of Ballistix too afraid to try and move up here to deal with this 3 versus 4. I mean, it's 4 versus 4, but Avatar, you know, math's a bit hard there. And it's just amazing. That Horrify was such a brilliant initiation. Constantly, I was sitting there, how do they deal with the Holy Ground? And the answer is, just don't let them throw out the Adruins. Just start the fight before it's a possibility.
Yeah, the silence was very good from Buds too, and then Justin, every time he would go in and do the impossible, it felt like he was just gonna die, being that squishy ETC compared to some of the other frontliners. But they believed in each other, and Roll20 are rewarded. They will get this Immortal, and they can siege the structures of Ballistix.
But the experience is a problem. Ballistix is still almost an entire level, at least 3/4 here, over the members of Roll20. And the 20 talent here will come online-ish. At best, Roll20 can say we're going to be even with the members of Ballistix. And if we see that 20 initiation die past the Immortal, which we know the members of Ballistix are going to be looking to make happen. Oh, here it is.
This is
Oh my!
super deletion. Buds uses the flailing swipe, but it doesn't matter. Ballistix dives past the Immortal, takes out Gul'dan, and that was all for nothing for Roll20. They at least get the fort, but now they're down the 20s.
The members of Roll20 there, you can see the hesitation, and the minute they split up for a moment. Again, the synergy Ballistix shows the initiation capabilities, and now they do have those heroics. It wastes all the efforts over that last Immortal. All the, miracle team fight, Horrify is kind of wasted now. But Roll20 will be able to get their 20. No keeps down for either side. It's kind of, we're almost back to even here, Gilly.
Unless we forget, the last time Roll20 played Battlefield of Eternity, they were down 2 keeps and still defeated Tempest. So they're probably feeling a lot better about this game, at least, and the fact that they still have their keeps.
Yeah, very good, great point that you bring up there. Roll20 always to keep themselves into this game. You see Hooligan kind of sharking around that camp, but the members
loves to do that.
I absolutely adore that positioning as well, because you can just throw out the Eldruins, you have vision, and it's just like, even if you want to take this Roll20, I just can bump you all out of this area. It just forces so many cooldowns for them to take such a weak Shaman camp, and it's amazing the interaction between those. But Ballistix is going to go ahead and abuse their level 20 advantage. They're going to pick themselves up the Shaman as we wait for the next, well, maybe not. I was going to say wait for the next Immortal, but they're not done with this. They're going to try and capitalize on this small window.
Yeah, that Shaman camp was not worth Roll20 going into a fight without 20. They need those level 20s now that Ballistix has them, especially when you're looking at things like Hive Mind, Holy Arena for Tyrael.
I just want to bring the fact that Ballistix is walking away from this circumstance is very uncharacteristic, considering that we had 30 seconds. I guess the biggest argument would be is that they need the Shaman camp split pressure before the next Immortal phase, but Ballistix is a team that loves to taunt you. If you fail to be able to take the initiation, they'll dance around that keep until you go off too far, then they'll force the initiation and be like, well, that's what happens when you step too far away from home. But that time, not the case, not the thought process. They were willing to very easily back away, not risk the initiation when Roll20 blatantly was stepping out a bit too far.
But Roll20 do have those terrifying heroic abilities now upgraded. With the continuous wins, you've got the controlled chaos too, and then Haunt. And of course, ETC has a game-changing Storm tier talent. Hasn't chosen it yet, waiting to see what will work best for Justin. He has been the focus a lot, and especially because he doesn't have Crowd Surfer, so once he's caught from a holy ground, he's probably gonna stay there. So we may be seeing a death metal here from Justin.
And Swoy went into the Epiphany there at level 20, making every backliner's 1v1 essentially non-winnable. Swoy has the opportunity to dash in, he can dash out, and more importantly, he is going to trade up into in every situation. So the members of Roll20 need to make sure that they stay enclumped, sticking together as a unit.
Halftime show has started, and it's in Ballistix' favor. Roll20 keeping an eye on Ballistix as they get set up. We're going to see Glaurung go up to the top lane, make sure that Abathur and really just the push of Ballistix that they've been able to get control of in that top lane isn't too much, but that's going to force Glaurung there. He knows. He uses the pixie dust. He's just fine.
Just fine, and enough members of Ballistix transferred over that they're unable to make any, backdoor sneaky play with Roll20 moving up now. Glaurung still yet to get the teleport out. That top keep doesn't have any mercenaries to deal with any longer. Hooligan goes up. Beautiful use of the holy ground there, blocking the area for Justin to hit the power slide.
It's really amazing to see that Glaurung didn't get caught there, because that was a problem point for Roll20 a lot, is Glaurung on his Bright-Wing, this very squishy support. He wants to be able to side lane as the global, but he got caught a lot by a lot of different teams.
Specifically against Dignitas, Zalea 1v1'd him twice, back-to-back, and I believe in the exact same game. So that's a great adjustment here that we see being displayed by the members of Roll20 versus Ballistix, but things are still a bit of a struggle. Ballistix has the advantage here on to this Immortal by quite a large margin.
Justin seems really far out from the rest of the team. Uses the face melt once Junghan goes in with the charge. No taunt usage yet. Both of the teams very patient in this Battlefield of Eternity game. The first game of a best of 3 with North America's last hope, Roll20 taking on the previous global champions at BlizzCon last year, Ballistix.
They cannot make one mistake. Taunt goes down, flailing swipe number 1, but again, post 20, that's not a cooldown that they're going to be too concerned about. Lurking arm drops, getting a bit of poke, but no one pulling the trigger here quite yet.
Goku and Justin doing a really good job either side of that rock to allow Prismat to throw out a few of his Fell Flames. just trying to even up the poke damage that was done by SCSC. Li Ming is a fantastic poke hero, and now they're even using SDE, just trying to poke down this Immortal as fast as possible.
It's going to force the hand of Roll20. You can see them getting at least anxious a little bit here. Guang comes in. Goku trying to get the fake power side. One-man mosh pit. It's interrupted.
There's the repulsion. Jungha takes some damage. Goku's in, forcing the sanctification. Flailing Swipe pushes back Ballistix. Roll20 still going forward as the Horrify's out.
The Horrify goes down, but nobody ends up dying there. Swoy pretty low in HP, but he still has the palm if necessary. Justin gets split. We see Jungha try to go in. The knockback is there. Power slide follow up, and Jungha goes down.
The silence so good. Varian dies. Swoy in danger as he dashes to Hooligan. Hooligan gets him out of trouble, but Roll20 moves immediately to claim this Immortal.
Second Immortal of the game here for Roll20, but a very different circumstance. Ballistix is going to be down themselves a variant for a long while. And this is going to be most likely minimum of a keep for the members of Roll20. If Ballistix loses 1 to 2 members, could be game.
The patience from both of these teams was so incredible in that phase, but finally Roll20 finds an opportunity for greatness here. They take out Varian. They have an Immortal. It's low in shielding, so they need to protect it from the poke as much as possible, but not take too much free poke to make them vulnerable. Sanctification was forced last fight. 30 seconds before Ballistix will have that crucial heroic ability.
8 more seconds before Varian is back to join the members of Ballistix. The shielding on the Immortal already removed from SC there, throwing out so many spells onto it.
Yeah, even the clone of SDE, Justin tried to soak some of those up, but took a bunch of damage. Didn't want to do that. Glaurung's here. The keep is down.
Power slide out. Swoy's in a bad spot. Horrify is used. He's going to get dropped to the back line, and he goes down.
Swoy is gone. Roll20 esports has just taken down the support of Ballistix. They are down to 4 members, including the Avatar, as the flailing side pushes back. But Buzz is in danger. He goes down. A support for a support.
The shielding on the core is removed. 68, 80. They look at the Immortal. It goes down. 30.
25. Take out Ballistix in game 1.
North America is making a name for themselves here at the HGC Finals 2017.
The crowd is wild for Roll20, giving all of their support for this team. But it's not over yet. We saw in the last series, Tempo Storm do the same thing. Take game 1 from Fnatic and ended up losing the series. Roll20 has to keep going if they want to take out Ballistix.
We've seen what happens when North America pokes and prod a world champion of that last series. And you know that Ballistix is feeling equally as fierce of what we saw out of the Fnatic members. That being said, I feel like we saw some synergy and some individual plays being made from every single member of Roll20. Just even looking at Prismaticism with a high cooldown, I mean, he waited so very long to drop a Horrify, but when he did, there was not a single time it did not net a kill for the members of Roll20.
Roll20 stepped up their game. We'll see soon if Ballistix can do the same. Let's head back to the analyst desk to see what they thought of game 1.
The 5 members of Ballistix thought they had control over that game, it seemed, for quite a while during it, but then they stared down the 6 members of Roll20 when it came to the team and the crowd. Oh my God, what we saw there, every single kill that went down just seemed to fuel Roll20 more and more as the crowd erupts in cheers for every single little edge that they can find.
Yeah, I mean, 5 members or 6,000 here, Galaris. Roll20 here really gave the crowd a treat of epic proportions. This time winning not against, Fnatic, who already dropped 1 map. No, Ballistix was undefeated. All right? And winning against the number 2 seed from Korea here as Roll20, it's really amazing. But what I really want to see from them is to respect themselves in the sense that don't just be too happy about 1 map when it's all about the best of 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we saw there at the end. Glaurung getting very excited. Everyone else, though, kind of trying to stay calm, right? And I think that what's most impressive about this draft and this win to me is I feel like any other hero but Samuro would have given them a greater result. I don't think the Samuro pick was what won it for them. We saw so many moments with the flailing arms, the Horrifies, that heroic synergy in the late game got them the picks that won them the later team fights. And I mean, if they could do this with a Samuro pick, I feel like they could do it with anything.
No respect for the Samuro. I mean, it was kind of a cool poke against the Immortal. I slightly disagree there. I do think those were really huge, those disengages. But Samuro, I mean, I have a love for the guy. He's, I think he did great. I have one moment actually here, a replay, because before we go into the replay, let's go into the replay right away. But
nice.
As we just paused it here for a sec, this game, to me, was 100% about the copy timings of Abathur. Ultimate Evolution is a 20-second uptime. The way that SDE was able to hide Ultimate Evolution copy timings as we roll it forward slightly and then to use it for a single target blow-up was truly inspiring. You're going to see Li Ming position herself here with the copy, and they're waiting for ETC, and look at the speed with which they execute. Now this is more damage than actually was allowed to come out from the 4 members of, and that's kind of it, that's a really cool kill. But this was a big stalemate breaker that allowed Ballistix to draw ahead. Copy timings is something every team plays around and plays against.
Yeah.
For sure, the communications will be, okay, they use copy, let's pull back, Emerald Wind, Horrify, let's go away. If you hide that one, and you can on BOE, then there's such an opportunity here for Ballistix to get a kill. They played around this really well, Ballistix, but in the end, Horrifies, Emerald Winds, and Flailing Swipes had the better control of the fight. Such a cool game. I really felt like both teams gave it their all.
Jay-How?
I gotta play devil's advocate here. I'm sorry. I make no mistake about it. Roll20 played phenomenal. But when we saw the battleground pick loading into that, I said, this is exactly what Roll20 wants. They want to be able to take a fight. They want to be able to have that opportunity, same way MVP Black does. But I got a feeling that we'll probably see Ballistix try and take the map pick to something they're more comfortable with, a larger battleground to play more towards their macro style. Let's temper expectations for a moment because we're talking about a world championship team here. So we'll see going forward.
All right, that's game 1 in the books. Let's go to a short break here and hear from our sponsors before we go to game number 2.
The 2017 Heroes Global Championship